Welcome to Stories by Jayvil. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video with your loved ones. May God bless you for doing so. Also, let us know where you are watching from in the comment section. Now let's dive into the story. The bustling town of Greenfield, nestled amidst rolling hills and farmlands, was a place where dreams often seemed out of reach. For Anna James, however, it was home, a place where she believed her hard work and determination would pave the way for a better future. Anna was the eldest daughter of a seamstress and a small-time shopkeeper, raised with the values of loyalty, resilience, and unwavering kindness. Despite the challenges of growing up in a modest family, she had always been the kind of person who believed in others more than they believed in themselves. Her parents worked tirelessly to send her to Greenfield Polytechnic, but the weight of financial struggles often loomed large. To ease the burden, Anna took on a part-time job at the local market, selling handcrafted fabrics. It was during her second year at Greenfield Polytechnic that Anna met David Blake. David was a tall, soft-spoken young man with sharp features and an even sharper mind. He came from a family of struggling farmers and often spoke passionately about his dream of escaping the cycle of poverty. "I want to create something meaningful," he once said during a group project. "Something that will help people like my parents who work so hard but barely make ends meet." Their first meeting was unassuming but impactful. One rainy afternoon, Anna spotted David in the corner of the library, fumbling with a broken laptop. Frustration was written all over his face as he pressed random keys, hoping for a miracle. Anna, who had been passing by with a pile of books, paused. "Is everything okay?" she asked gently. David looked up, his expression a mix of weariness and embarrassment. "This laptop is ancient," he said with a small laugh. "It's the only thing I have for my project, and it's falling apart." Anna's warm smile softened the moment. "Maybe I can help," she said, even though she had no technical expertise. She wasn't offering technical skills, she was offering support, the kind of quiet encouragement that could carry someone through a tough moment. From that day, a friendship blossomed. Anna and David began spending more time together, collaborating on assignments, sharing meals between classes, and walking home along Greenfield's narrow, dusty roads. David confided in Anna about his vision for a better future. "I want to create a platform that connects farmers directly to buyers," he said one evening as they sat under the shade of a tree on campus. "Middlemen take too much and farmers are left with scraps. It's not fair." Anna listened intently, her admiration for him growing. "You can do it, David," she said with conviction. "You have the ideas and the drive, and I'll help however I can." Anna's words were not empty promises. As David struggled with school fees and equipment costs, Anna quietly stepped in to help. She worked extra hours at the market, often putting aside her own needs to support him. When David needed money for a workshop that could further his knowledge, Anna saw Mother's prized fabric collection without hesitation. "We're a team," she told him when he tried to refuse. "Your dreams are my dreams too." David was deeply moved by her generosity. "Anna," he said one evening, "I'll never forget this. One day when I've made it, I'll make it all worth it for you." Their shared dreams and sacrifices brought them closer together, and they became the couple everyone admired. But as graduation approached, the pressures of the real world loomed. David's plans for his startup began to take shape, and Anna's unwavering support became the foundation for his growing confidence. "Do you ever think about what life will be like when we've achieved everything we're working toward?" Anna asked him one evening. David smiled, his eyes lighting up with hope. "All the time," he replied. "We'll look back at these days and laugh at how far we've come. We'll build a life together, Anna, a life we can be proud of." For Anna, those words were a promise. For David, they were a glimpse of the future he believed they could share. Together, they were determined to rise above their humble beginnings. What neither of them could predict, however, was how the journey ahead would test the strength of their bond and ultimately reshape their lives forever. As the days passed after graduation, David's dream began to materialize. With Anna's continued support, he started AgriLink, a business idea born from his passion for helping farmers and transforming the agricultural landscape. He developed an innovative online platform that connected farmers directly with buyers, eliminating the middlemen who had long exploited them. It was a simple yet brilliant idea, and it quickly gained attention. David's tireless work paid off when a local entrepreneur, Mr. O'Keefe, saw the potential in AgriLink. After a meeting that stretched late into the night, Mr. Okeke agreed to invest a significant sum in the startup, and with that, AgriLink was born. As the platform gained momentum, David's name began to circulate in the local business circles. It wasn't long before he caught the attention of investors from larger cities, eager to get in on the ground floor of what promised to be a revolutionary idea. As David's business expanded, so did the distance between him and Anna. What had once been long, heartfelt conversations about the future now became hurried exchanges between meetings and events. David's schedule was packed with high-profile meetings, investor calls, and events that required his attention, while Anna continued to work at the market, managing the accounts for AgriLink whenever David needed help. Though their bond remained strong, Anna could feel herself slowly slipping into the background of David's rapidly changing life. The first sign of things changing came when David returned from a week-long business trip. He was different, more distant, his mind preoccupied with meetings and deals. When Anna asked about his trip, he briefly mentioned a new business partner he had met. Chioma is a successful entrepreneur with connections to some of the biggest names in the industry. "I think she's going to be really helpful for the next stage of AgriLink," David said, his tone distracted as he scrolled through his phone. Anna smiled, trying to hide the growing unease in her heart. "That's great, David. I'm glad to hear it. I know how hard you've been working." But even as she said the words, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was slipping away. Days turned into weeks, and David's time became consumed by Chioma. He would often mention her in passing, how she had introduced him to potential clients, helped him secure funding from investors, and offered invaluable business advice. Meanwhile, Anna found herself spending more time alone, waiting for a text or a phone call that never seemed to come. One evening, as Anna prepared dinner for two, David came home late. He was dressed in a sharp new suit, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "I've just signed a major deal, Anna," he said, his voice filled with a pride that she hadn't heard in months. "This is the break we've been waiting for. AgriLink is about to explode." Anna smiled, proud of him, but something felt off. "I'm happy for you, David," she said, though her heart felt heavy. David set his briefcase down, his face lighting up as he looked at her. "You've been amazing, Anna. I couldn't have done this without you." "You know that, right?" She nodded, though a small part of her began to doubt his words. She had given so much of herself to support him, and now it felt as if she was being pushed further and further from the life they had dreamed of together. Later that evening, as they sat in silence, Anna couldn't help but notice the change in David's behavior. He seemed more absorbed in his phone than in their conversation, and when he mentioned Chioma once again, something in Anna's chest tightened. "She's been a real asset to the business," David said absent-mindedly. "She's really taken AgriLink to the next level." Anna paused, her fork halfway to her mouth. She studied his face, looking for the spark of the man she had once known, the man who promised her a future they would build together. But the spark seemed dim, and the warmth she had once felt from him now felt like a distant memory. The next morning, David left for another business trip, this time to meet with some potential investors in Lagos. As he kissed her goodbye, he told her, "I'll be back in a few days. I'm sure I'll have some good news when I get back." Anna watched him go, the sound of the door closing behind him echoing in her ears. She stood there for a long time, her heart heavy with a growing sense of doubt. She had sacrificed so much for him, but in the process, she couldn't help but wonder if she had lost herself along the way. Little did Anna know, the journey she had embarked on was about to take an unexpected turn. The betrayal that would shake her to her core was coming, and it would force her to question everything she had believed about love, loyalty, and the price of ambition. The sound of the door closing echoed in Anna's ears as she stood alone in the apartment she and David had shared for years. He had just left for yet another business trip, and with each trip she felt more like a stranger in her own relationship. Anna remembered the early days when they would talk for hours about their dreams, sharing ideas and planning a future together. Now their conversations were brief and perfunctory, his words filled with enthusiasm for his work and praise for Kioma, his new business partner. The once bright flame of their love was now a faint flicker, barely surviving amidst the whirlwind of David's success. Weeks passed and David's absences became more frequent. When he was home, his presence felt hollow. Anna noticed small but significant changes in him: his new tailored suits, the expensive cologne, the way he avoided eye contact when she asked about his trips. One night, she decided to confront him. David had returned late, the scent of his cologne filling the air as he dropped his briefcase on the sofa. He seemed distracted, scrolling through his phone with a faint smile. Anna took a deep breath and spoke, her voice steady but strained. "David, can we talk?" He glanced at her briefly before returning to his phone. "Sure, what's on your mind?" Anna hesitated, her heart pounding. "I feel like we're drifting apart. You're always away, and even when you're here, it feels like you're not really with me. I need to know, is something going on?" David sighed, putting his phone down. His expression was calm, almost too calm. "Anna, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. Things have been changing, and I think we need to face the truth." Her stomach dropped. "What truth?" she whispered. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "We've outgrown each other," he said bluntly. "You've been amazing, Anna, but my life is moving in a different direction now. Kioma and I have been working closely, and she understands my world in a way you don't." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. "Kioma?" she asked, her voice trembling. David nodded, avoiding her gaze. "We've developed a connection, Anna. She's been instrumental in AgriLink's growth, and we've grown close. It's not about you, it's about where I am now. I need someone who fits into this new chapter of my life." Anna stared at him, her mind racing. This was the man she had sacrificed everything for, the man she had believed in, supported, and loved unconditionally. And now he was sitting across from her, calmly explaining why she was no longer part of his future. "You're serious," she said, her voice breaking. David nodded. "I think it's best if we go our separate ways. You deserve someone who can give you the time and attention I can't." The room fell silent as Anna struggled to process his words. She felt a mix of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. "After everything I've done for you," she said quietly, "this is how it ends?" David looked away, unable to meet her eyes. "I'll make sure you're taken care of, Anna. You won't have to worry about anything." But that wasn't what she wanted. She didn't want his money or his empty promises. She wanted the life they had built together, the future they had dreamed of. The next morning, David packed his bags and left. Anna sat on the sofa, staring at the empty space where his things had been. The apartment felt cold and unfamiliar, a shell of the home they had once shared. Days turned into weeks, and Anna struggled to find her footing. Friends and family offered their support, but the pain of betrayal lingered. She replayed their conversations in her mind, questioning where things had gone wrong and how she could have missed the signs. But amidst the heartbreak, a spark of determination began to grow. Anna wasn't ready to let David erase her from his life or the success she had helped him build. She started gathering evidence of her contributions to AgriLink, bank statements, emails, and documents that proved her role in the company's early days. "If he thinks he can walk away without consequences, he's wrong," she thought. Anna's pain began to transform into purpose. She reached out to a lawyer, determined to fight for what was rightfully hers. Little did David know, the woman he had underestimated was about to change the course of their story forever. Anna James had always been known for her quiet strength, but now that strength had become unshakable. The heartbreak David had inflicted upon her had transformed into a fierce determination to reclaim what was rightfully hers. She had sacrificed too much, given too much, and endured too much to walk away empty-handed. For weeks, Anna worked tirelessly, gathering evidence of her contributions to AgriLink. She pored over old emails, meticulously saved receipts, and unearthed contracts they had signed in the company's early days. Each piece of paper was a testament to her involvement, financially, emotionally, and intellectually. Her laptop became her companion during sleepless nights as she compiled every document that could prove her role in building David's empire. One evening, she sat at her modest wooden table, surrounded by stacks of papers and her glowing laptop screen. The memories of their journey together replayed in her mind as she worked. The long nights spent brainstorming ideas, the savings she had poured into his dream, and the sacrifices she had made to ensure his success. Each memory fueled her resolve. Finally, she felt ready to take the next step. She scheduled a meeting with Nkechi Ume, a local lawyer known for her tenacity and expertise in cases involving business disputes. The morning of the meeting, Anna dressed carefully, choosing a simple blouse and skirt that reflected her quiet confidence. She arrived at Nkechi's office, a modest but professional space filled with bookshelves and the hum of determination in the air. Nkechi greeted her warmly, her firm handshake radiating assurance. "Anna, I've heard about your situation. Let's see how we can make things right," she said, motioning for Anna to sit. Anna handed over the folder of documents she had prepared, explaining her contributions to AgriLink and how David had dismissed her sacrifices. Nkechi's sharp eyes scanned the papers, her expression growing more focused with each passing moment. "You've done your homework," Nkechi said finally, looking up at Anna. "This is solid. The evidence is undeniable: emails, bank transfers, even signed agreements. He can't argue that you weren't a crucial part of his success." Anna nodded, her voice steady. "I'm not just fighting for the money, Nkechi. I'm fighting for my dignity. He can't erase me like I never existed." Nkechi leaned back in her chair, a glint of admiration in her eyes. "Anna, you're stronger than you think. We're going to show him that you can't build an empire on someone else's back and then toss them aside." The next step was filing the lawsuit. News of the legal battle spread quickly in Greenfield, and whispers filled the air. David, now a public figure due to AgriLink's success, dismissed the case as a baseless attempt to tarnish his reputation. But deep down he felt a twinge of fear. He hadn't expected Anna to fight back, let alone with such precision and strength. David's new partner, Chioma, encouraged him to stay confident. "She's just bitter," Chioma said dismissively. "This will blow over." But as the court date loomed closer, the weight of the situation began to settle on David. Meanwhile, Anna prepared for the trial with unrelenting focus. Nkechi worked tirelessly, coaching her on how to present her case and preparing counter-arguments for every possible defense David might use. The lawyer's confidence in Anna's case only bolstered her own resolve. On the eve of the trial, Anna sat in her quiet apartment, reflecting on how far she had come. The heartbreak that had once consumed her now felt like a distant memory. She wasn't the same woman who had been left behind. She was stronger, wiser, and ready to face whatever lay ahead. "Tomorrow I take back what's mine," she said to herself, her voice filled with quiet determination. The stage was set and Anna was ready. Little did David know, the woman he had underestimated was about to turn the tables in a way that would leave him reeling. The courtroom battle that awaited would become the talk of Greenfield, a story of betrayal, resilience, and triumph that no one would soon forget. The day of the trial arrived, and the tension in the air was palpable. Greenfield's courthouse, a stately building adorned with age-old pillars and worn stone, had never seen a case quite like this. It wasn't just the local townspeople who showed up. Media outlets had begun covering the story, and the courtroom buzzed with spectators, eager to witness the drama unfold. Anna stood at the front of the courtroom, her back straight and her hands clasped in front of her. She was dressed in a simple yet elegant navy blue suit, her braided hair neatly pulled back. Beside her stood Nkechi, her lawyer, a calm and composed woman who had become Anna's greatest ally in this battle. The case was more than just a legal dispute. It was a matter of principle, of reclaiming what she had worked so hard for, and of proving that a person's worth couldn't be determined by someone else's actions. Across the room, David sat with his own legal team, his face tense and drawn. His once confident demeanor had been replaced with a look of unease. He knew that the evidence Anna had gathered was formidable, but he had underestimated the strength and resilience of the woman he had left behind. Beside him, Chioma sat with her arms crossed, watching the proceedings with a look of indifference that barely masked the anxiety in her eyes. The judge, a stern man with years of experience, took his seat and called the court to order. We are here today to resolve the dispute between Miss Anna James and Mr. David Blake regarding the contributions made by Mrs. James to the business known as AgriLink. Miss James, please present your case. Anna took a deep breath and stood up, her heart racing but her mind clear. She stepped to the podium and began to speak, her voice calm but resolute. Your Honor, I stand before you not just as someone seeking compensation, but as a woman who has given her all to support a dream that was never solely mine. I helped build AgriLink from the ground up, and I was there every step of the way, even when no one else believed in it. I was there when it was just an idea, when we didn't have the resources to pay for workshops, and when we had to scrape together every penny to keep the dream alive. As Anna spoke, she glanced briefly at David, whose eyes avoided hers. The emotion was clear in her voice, but it wasn't anger. It was the quiet strength of a woman who had been wronged, but had found the courage to speak out. I invested my time, my money, and my energy into AgriLink. I never asked for recognition, but I knew what I was contributing. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for what is rightfully mine. She paused and turned to the judge. I have the evidence to prove my involvement, bank records, emails, agreements that show I was an integral part of AgriLink's foundation. I have done the work and I deserve to be compensated fairly for it. David's lawyer stood up to object. Objection, Your Honor. This is nothing more than a claim of a disgruntled ex-partner. Miss James had no formal stake in the company. The defendant has invested his own money, his own time, and his own vision into AgriLink. Nkechi stood up, raising her hand to speak. Your Honor, we have substantial evidence that Miss James did in fact play a critical role in the development of AgriLink. The financial contributions she made, the ideas she helped implement, and her dedication to the business were integral to its success. The courtroom fell silent as the judge nodded thoughtfully. I see. Please present your evidence. Nkechi began laying out the documents Anna had painstakingly compiled. She presented emails where Anna had brainstormed ideas with David, a financial report showing the money Anna had contributed during AgriLink's early days, and even a signed agreement that outlined Anna's role in the company. As the evidence piled up, David's face grew more pale. His lawyer tried to argue against it, but the case was becoming harder to defend. When it was David's turn to speak, he stood up slowly, his face set in a stiff mask of defiance. Your Honor, I don't deny that Miss James helped me in the early days, but I am the one who carried the vision of AgriLink. I am the one who made the difficult decisions, built relationships with investors, and took company to the next level. Without me, AgriLink would never have reached the heights it did. Anna's heart clenched, but she refused to back down. Without us, David, she said softly, but with strength, you would never have had the chance to reach those heights. The room fell silent at her words. The judge's gavel echoed as he called for a brief recess. Anna walked back to her seat, her body shaking slightly, but she held her head high. She had done what she came here to do. Now it was in the hands of the court. As the break ended and the proceedings resumed, the weight of the situation became clear to everyone in the room. David had underestimated Anna's strength, her resolve, and her ability to fight for what she deserved. The evidence was clear. The judge would make his decision soon. Anna's fight wasn't just for money, it was for the respect she had earned, for the partnerships she had given everything for, and for the future she had built with someone she had once trusted with her heart. The courtroom was silent as the judge shuffled through the documents and notes before him. The tension in the air was palpable, the outcome hanging in the balance. Anna sat at her table, her hands clasped tightly together. Beside her, Nkechi offered a reassuring nod. On the other side of the room, David leaned back in his chair, his confident facade cracking under the weight of the evidence against him. The judge finally spoke, his voice firm and steady. After reviewing the evidence presented, it is clear that Miss Anna James played a significant role in the founding and early success of AgriLink. Her contributions, both financial and intellectual, were integral to the company's foundation. As such, this court rules in favor of Miss James, awarding her 50% of AgriLink's assets. The gavel struck and the room erupted into murmurs. Anna sat frozen for a moment, the words sinking in. She had won. Relief and vindication washed over her as she turned to Nkichi, who smiled triumphantly. "You did it, Anna," she said softly. Across the room, David sat motionless, his head in his hands. His lawyer whispered something to him, but he barely reacted. The man who had once seemed untouchable was now a shadow of himself, his arrogance replaced by regret and humiliation. Chioma, who had accompanied him to every hearing, quietly slipped out of the room, leaving him alone to face the consequences of his actions. As Anna stepped outside the courthouse, a crowd had gathered. Friends, supporters, and even strangers who had followed her story cheered as she walked down the steps. Camera flashes went off, reporters shouted questions, but Anna kept her composure. She paused for a moment, turned to the crowd, and spoke. "This isn't just a victory for me," she began, her voice strong. "It's a victory for every person who has ever been underestimated, overlooked, or taken for granted. It's proof that your value is not determined by someone else's opinion of you. When you stand up for yourself, when you fight for what's right, you can reclaim your power." The applause was deafening. Anna felt a wave of pride, not just in the outcome, but in herself. For the first time in a long time, she felt truly free. Over the next few weeks, Anna began to rebuild her life. With her share of the settlement, she founded Harvest Hope, an initiative aimed at empowering women in agriculture. She wanted to use her experience to help others, providing resources, mentorship, and support to women who faced similar challenges. Harvest Hope quickly gained traction, and Anna's story became a beacon of inspiration. She was invited to speak at events, sharing her journey of resilience and triumph. "Pain is inevitable," she often said during her speeches, "but what you do with that pain defines who you are. I chose to turn mine into purpose." Meanwhile, David struggled to recover. AgriLink's reputation took a hit after the court ruling, and investors began pulling out. His name, once associated with success and innovation, now carried the stain of betrayal and arrogance. He tried to reach out to Anna once, sending a carefully worded letter of apology, but she never responded. Anna didn't need his apology. She had already moved on. Months later, at a community gala in Greenfield, Anna stood on stage, accepting an award for her contributions to women in agriculture. Dressed in a simple yet elegant gown, she looked out at the crowd, her smile radiant. She spoke with the same quiet strength that had carried her through her darkest days. "This journey has taught me so much," she said. "It's taught me that resilience isn't about never falling, it's about rising every time you do. It's taught me that your worth isn't determined by someone else's failure to see it. And most of all, it's taught me that the best revenge isn't about hurting those who wronged you, it's about building something so strong, so beautiful, that their absence doesn't matter." The audience erupted in applause, standing to honor the woman who had turned her pain into power. Among them were women who had been inspired by her story, men who admired her courage, and young girls who now saw her as a role model. Later that night, as Anna stood on her balcony overlooking the quiet town of Greenfield, she reflected on how far she had come. The stars above sparkled brightly, a reminder of the limitless possibilities that lay ahead. The heartbreak that had once consumed her was now a distant memory, replaced by a sense of purpose and peace. She had not only survived, she had thrived. And as the cool evening breeze swept across her face, Anna smiled, knowing that her journey was only just beginning. Her story became a legend in Greenfield, a tale of betrayal, resilience, and triumph that would inspire generations to come. Anna James had risen above the ashes of her past, proving that even in the face of heartbreak, a phoenix could rise. This brings us to the end of the story. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and may God bless you for doing so. Thank you.